Good evening to all of you. Today, we are presenting the second episode from the series of parables titled, So Strike Above the Necks, as he covers you with drowsiness as a security from him, and he sends down upon you water from the sky to purify you with it and remove from you the filth of Satan, to strengthen your hearts and steady your feet. The meaning here is, when God cast drowsiness upon you, O believers, during the battle of bad. Why? What is the reason? What is the reason for the drowsiness that God cast upon the believers during the battle or during the fight? It was for rest, so they could recover and continue fighting. And he also sent down rain upon you to purify you from impurity, and so you could drink after you were afflicted by thirst. And the last point, or the final reason, is to remove from you the whisperings of Satan, who told you what you claim is from Satan, and he would reach you during the battle. He said to them, "Do you believers think you are in the right, even though among you is a prophet? The polytheists have already reached the well of bad before you. How can you possibly defeat them? They are the ones who got the water, not you." The source here is Lubab al-Tawil fi Morani al-Tanzil by Al-Kazin. How did Satan whisper to them as a group? I know that Satan whispers to people one by one. I mean, he leads a person astray. A person, not a group, because what is he saying to them here? What is God saying? He says, God will remove it from you. This simply means that Satan whispered to them all at once, as a group. That's the idea. So the question here is, how did Satan whisper to the believers during the battle of bad all at once, not one by one? No, as a group. Here, there are actually two observations. The first observation is that the discussion about God uses the third-person pronoun. He covers them, it's from him. He sends down. He purifies. Are you paying attention? He removes. God strengthens. He makes firm. All of this is talk about God in the third person. The second observation is that God is addressing the believers directly, without going through the prophet. Because when he wants to speak to the prophet, he says to him, say to them, O Muhammad, whether he is going to speak to the believers or to the disbelievers. But the point here in this verse is that God addresses the believers 5 times, directly from him to them, without going through the Prophet Muhammad. Take this for example. He covers you, O believers. God, he covers you. This come means you all. Got it? Ah. He purifies you, or he purifies you well, your hearts. All of these are messages from God to the believers, or a conversation or address from God directly to the believers. When your Lord revealed to the angels, I am with you, so make firm those who believe. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, so strike above their necks and strike from them every fingertip. The meaning here is, when your Lord, O Muhammad, revealed to the angels. That is, he sent them to support the believers. God sent Gabriel with 1,000 angels on his right hand, and Michael with 1,000 angels on his left hand. On the left hand, that's it. So here, the meaning is, when your Lord, O Muhammad, revealed to the angels whom he sent to support the believers in the battle of Bad, he inspired them, saying, I am with you, O angels, fight alongside the believers against the polytheists and give them glad tidings of victory. So the angel would appear before the believers in the form of a man, walking ahead of them, and say to them, Rejoice in victory, for God is granting it. That is, the angel tells the believers, of course, with absolute certainty while walking ahead of them, saying, rejoice in victory. This was the mission of the 2,000 angels, meaning their job was to say that. By the way, all the believers were only 313 in total. But in any case, God cast terror into the hearts of the disbelievers and told the believers, strike above the necks and the limbs above the neck. Here, above the necks, meaning separate the head from the body. The source here is Maralim al-Tanzil by al-Baghawi. The question here is, why did God reveal to the angels when he was the one who sent them in the first place? Angels are supposed to be inherently obedient to God and therefore do not need to be commanded or compelled. He made them built-in. How could God send the angels without a specific message or command inside them for them to carry out? I mean, he sent them first and then revealed to them. Honestly, I don't understand this. If he was the one who sent them in the first place, he would just reveal to them and tell them, that's it. They already have the commands inside them from the start. But honestly, I didn't understand this part. And then it says, so strike, is the command here. So strike above the necks, directed at the angels. Are they the ones supposed to strike? Or is it directed at the believers? Because, pay attention, this is a very important point in this verse that you should notice. When your Lord reveals to, here, reveals is happening in the moment. Who is your Lord revealing to? Who is the subject of the verse here? The subject of the verse here is the angels. I'll underline it for you. I am with you. With whom? With the angels. So you, O angels, strengthen the believers, support them, back them up, and really help them stay firm. I, God, will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. All right. So strike above the necks. Here, this command to strike, is this command from God directed to the angels or to the believers? Because God's revelation here, see, it's to the angels, and his command is to make them steadfast, so make them steadfast. Those who believed. Sorry, it's for the angels, just so you're aware, there's no mention of the believers as the ones acting in this verse. Here, God sent the angels, inspiring them and commanding them to make the believers steadfast on the battlefield, and God himself will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieved. And then he says, so strike. So who is supposed to strike here, the angels or the believers? And if it's the angels, how would they strike? You see, that's the issue. And if it's the believers, why weren't they mentioned? So strike, O believers, striking above the necks. To be fair, I really wish someone in the comments would tell us, to whom did God address this command? Was it to the angels or to the believers? And what is the evidence? The second question, honestly, everyone, is, what exactly was the crime committed by the disbelievers of Quraysh, the people of Mecca? I mean, while they were coming from the Levant, passing through Medina, heading to Mecca, heading to their homeland? What was the crime they committed that made God command that they be struck above the necks? And all of this, these are people who left their homeland and pooled their money just to go to the lands of civilization, to the Levant, to bring back goods, food, medicine, and so on. And on their way back, even the Prophet and his companions confronted them while they were heading there. But at that time they had nothing with them, no goods or anything. They weren't carrying the 40 camels loaded with goods yet, so they managed to escape. But on their way back, they were loaded down. At that point, the horses couldn't run, nor could the camels or any of the animals move quickly. None of that was possible. So they were forced into a situation where you ambushed them to seize what they had and raid them. The point to note here is that, in truth, he's speaking to me with two voices, as God is the one revealing this. Then he goes back and says, I will cast. So, you're talking to me now, addressing me in the first person, but earlier you were referring to God in the third person. There's someone speaking about God as he reveals, yes, as he reveals, God your Lord, to the angels. It's supposed to be, as he reveals, meaning he is with you, so strengthen those who believe. He will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. So that's the story. Sometimes he addresses me in the third person, he reveals, and other times he speaks to me in the first person. I am God, I will cast. I am God. That is because they opposed God and his messenger. And whoever opposes God and his messenger, then God is severe in punishment. The meaning of that here refers to the striking of necks and fingertips. The striking of the necks and fingertips of the polytheists. This striking, that punishment, its reason is that the polytheists, the disbelievers of Mecca, those who returned from the Levant to Mecca, opposed God and disobeyed his messenger. And whoever opposes God and his messenger, God will punish them severely in the hereafter. Who is the one saying this interpretation? It's Bar al-Ulum. He's the one who just clarified this question. Muslims seized the Quraysh caravan, so when did polytheists oppose God and his messenger? When did they oppose them? That's the idea. The second question, is it possible for a human to oppose God, to oppose his messenger? The messenger, his human, we don't disagree. But you're saying they oppose God, they opposed, they became enemies, God and his messenger. How can they be enemies of God? How is that possible? Is God on their level to oppose him? The first point to note is that God and his messenger is repeated twice in a single verse. That is because they opposed God and his messenger, and whoever opposes God and his messenger, and whoever opposes them, for God is severe in punishment. I mean, it's possible that I just don't know why the repetition happens twice. That's one thing. The second point, or the second issue, is that mentioning God and his messenger in a single sentence gives the impression that they are on the same level, that is for you, so taste it, and for the disbelievers is the punishment of the fire. The meaning, that is, the striking of the necks of the sons of the polytheists so that they taste pain in this world. There are others who say no, that's not what the verse means. That is for you means so that they taste the punishment in the hereafter, not that it means striking necks in this world. Who says these two interpretations? Zad al-Masir fi al-Maltafsa by Ibn al-Jawzi. The real question here is, I want to understand. Are you telling me that that is for you means? And then in the previous verse, it says that, here, let me show it to you again. Here it is, exactly like that. I want to understand, what's the difference between thalaka in verse 13 and thalakam in verse 14? And why are both of them not thalakam? And why aren't both of them? That, O you who have believed, when you meet those who disbelieve advancing, do not turn your backs to them. The meaning. After God supported you, O Muslims, with angels after he supported the Prophet with 1,000 on his right and 1,000 on his left, and promised them victory over the disbelievers, he forbade them from fleeing. So don't run away, and don't turn your backs to the polytheists. That is, if the polytheists approach you, don't be defeated in front of them and turn your backs to them. Don't turn your backs to them and run away from the battle as long as God has, sent you divine support. That's the meaning. Who is saying this meaning? It's stated by Majma al-Bayan in the interpretation of the Quran by Al-Tabrasi. So the question here is, it says, if you meet, pay attention here as well, if you meet those who disbelieve. What matters to me here is the word you meet. So who is this talking to? To the believers, not to the prophet. You meet, that's you, the believers. So, if you meet those who disbelieve in battle, do not turn your backs to them. See, it's you, that's the point. It means, don't turn your backs on them, very clearly. This is just like the previous verse as well. What is he saying to them? God is saying to them, O you who have believed, addressing them collectively, this is the message. So, for the second time in this episode, the address from God is directed straight to the believers, without going through the prophet. Because when he wants to address him, he says, say, and whoever turns his back to them on that day, unless maneuvering for battle or joining another group, has certainly incurred the wrath of God, and his refuge is hell. What a terrible destination. The meaning is that turning your back in battle is forbidden. What does turning your back mean in our language today? It means giving your back to the enemy and running away. That's not allowed. You can't retreat. That's the story, but you can turn your back to the enemy in specific situations. One is if you notice with your own eyes that there's a more dangerous front where the fighting is heavier and more intense. And you want to help with what? To help your fellow Muslims. So you might turn your back to the quieter area you're in and go to the place where the fighting is more intense. That's one case. Or you might retreat to trick the enemy, lure him in, and then kill him. That's possible in that situation. Or you might join another group that needs what? That needs more fighters. Other than these three cases, turning your back and fleeing, whoever does that brings upon himself the wrath of God, and his abode will be hell, and what a terrible fate that is in the hereafter. Source: Al-Wazit fi Tafsir al-Quran. Also, pay attention here to the point being made. The reference to God is in the third person, from God. You did not kill them, but God killed them. And you did not throw when you threw, but God threw, so that he might test the believers with a good trial from himself. Indeed, God is all-hearing, all-knowing. The meaning here is that killing the polytheists was not within your power, O believers, O Muslims. Why is that? Because they were more numerous than you, stronger than you, and had more weapons, equipment, and supplies. But it was God who killed them after he supported you with strength. And here, the source says that on the day of the Battle of Bad, or on the day of the Bad campaign, the Prophet took a handful of dust and threw it in the faces of the disbelievers, and they were defeated. And this is considered a victory from God. Was that the verse? That's the point. The source here is Al-Tashil Liulam al-Tanzil by Ibn Juzay al-Ghanati. So I have a question here. Why didn't God kill the polytheists in the Battle of Uhud, which happened a year after the Battle of Bad? Does God send angels in one battle and not send them in another? The point to note here is that the speech refers to God in the third person and says, but God, that was the first observation. The second observation is that it was repeated twice. That is because God will weaken the schemes of the disbelievers. The meaning is that, for the second time, it says that is. This divine intervention strengthens the hearts of the believers with certainty and steadfastness. That is the divine throwing, because in the previous verse it says, "You did not throw when you threw, but God threw." So, this is the throwing being referred to in this verse. This strengthens the hearts of the believers with certainty and steadfastness, grants them victory over the polytheists, and weakens the schemes of the disbelievers. Newen means to weaken the plots of the disbelievers in ways they do not perceive. Who is the one saying this meaning? Later if al-Isharat by al-Kushairi. Honestly, I'm ending the episode like this, and I really appreciate your patience. But what's noticeable in Surah Al-Anfal is that God is always present with the group of Arabs living in the peninsula, in Mecca, and in Medina. Meaning, with the Prophet Muhammad in the distribution of the spoils, he is present and with them. In the Battle of Badr, he is there with his angels and present with them. Throughout the rest of the surah, God is present with the Prophet Muhammad and with the group of Arabs in the Arabian Peninsula at every step they take. I will point out this aspect in every upcoming episode. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.